Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane. Jon Jones sitting at minus 152. Ciryl Gane plus 152. As always, odds courtesy of BetOpenly, the best fight odds out there and the best book out there. Not really a book, but person to person, no house, only 1% juice. The best odds you'll find for anything you're looking to bet on. The undisputed heavyweight championship, Jon Jones 26-1, but we all know it's pretty much 27-0. Came in as the underdog, has moved to not a heavy favorite, but he's a sizable favorite at this point. Over under set at 4.5 rounds, over minus 128, under plus 128. Who do you like in this one? I'm sure most people are tuning in to get our input on this one. Who do you like?
Dude, it is so hard to choose a side in this fight for a bunch of reasons. Like, if this was 6 years ago, I'm going Jon Jones. I mean, you get the Jon Jones from 6 years ago against Ciryl Gane right now. I'm going Jon Jones all day. But, I mean, you look at Jon Jones's last, let's just say 10 fights. There's so many gaps in between some of these matchups. And every time he comes off of a layoff, dare I say, he looks a little bit slower. The competition is catching up to him a little bit more. And it just seems like every time he's off a couple of years, the competition at the top is starting to close that gap on Jon Jones. I mean, he went to split decision with Dominic Reyes, who arguably beat Jon Jones in that fight. I mean, he pieced Jon up at times. And then you look at what Reyes has done in the last couple of years, and man, that win does not age well for Jon Jones at all. So it's kind of hard to figure out what Jon Jones is going to look like coming into this fight, because his last few fights, I mean, Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos, close fights against guys who have lost a ton of fights in the last couple of years while he's been off. So, and then you look at Ciryl Gane, the loss to Francis Ngannou. Not many people beat Francis Ngannou. And, Ciryl made Francis completely change the game plan, completely fight a different style than he's used to. And, Francis isn't a wrestler at all. And he was shooting takedowns, trying to get the thing to the mat. And I do, it's kind of hard to tell if that's because of his knee that was injured, if he didn't feel comfortable on the feet because of that, or whatever the case may be. But this is super interesting, man. And, after the layoffs and all these close fights that Jon has had lately, he's moving up with the big boys now. He's at heavyweight against arguably the fastest, heavyweight that has the best movement and the best striking in the UFC. So makes it super interesting. I think if Jon, puts all this muscle on, all this weight, and he's going to have a lot more strength at heavyweight, or he should. If he can just get in close and wrestle Ciryl Gane, I mean, that's got to be the path to victory for him. If he can get Ciryl to the mat, I honestly think it's going to look like Cyryl's an amateur on the floor, because Jon is that good, and he's got so much experience with, better wrestlers and grapplers than Ciryl. So if he doesn't do that and he wants to be stubborn and try to prove something on the feet, I think Cyryl's going to give him all he got. And the range is going to be different. Jon's probably never felt strikes like Ciryl, even though Cyryl's not out there throwing, bombs every shot. He's just more of, he's got that, 1-2. He kind of just touches you up all night and then finds a big shot. But if I'm going to pick somebody right now, I'm going to go Jon Jones, and I'm going to bank on him taking this thing to the ground. But if my life depends on it, I'm not taking a side. It's that close to me. It's just, there's too many unknowns not for both guys necessarily, but for Jon Jones. I mean, all these layoffs, all this time off in the last couple of years, the move up to heavyweight. I mean, is he going to be a touch slower? I mean, he's 3 years older now than he was in his last fight. I mean, that's going to play a little bit part too. So, I'm going to ride with Jon Jones because I want him to win, but I'm not going to be surprised at all if Ciryl Gane gets this thing done.
Yeah, I reiterate everything you just said. The main narrative around this is like, if Jon Jones can get up to the ground, he's pretty much got the fight won. I don't know if it's going to be that simple. I don't think Ciryl Gane is that terrible on the ground to where he's not going to be able to, get back to his feet. I think the big problem that he faced in the Francis fight is that he just played around on the ground way too much. He would go for submissions. He would look to reverse position and everything like that. I think he's just got to if he can get to his feet, just get to his feet. Don't try to, end the fight with some heel hook or some Kimura or some key lock or something like that. Like just don't even mess around with that. You're just putting yourself in worse positions and giving John Jones a chance to get a better position with you on the ground. So if he does get put to the ground, he needs to do everything he can to just get back to his feet. Don't mess around on the ground there. But for Ciryl Gane, he has shown that he is fine with just staying on the outside and chopping away at you and just winning off of points. He did that in the Volkov fight, did that in the Rosenstrike fight. Derek Lewis fight, Derek kind of just folded. And then in the Tai Tuivasa fight, he got clipped from the outside, and it kind of, I think it messed up his game. He got rocked, and he's like, okay, I kind of need to fight here. Or maybe that's just his reaction. If you get hit, you're more likely to come forward, or maybe you want to get it back. Something in that fight lit this fire under him where he's like, I want to go and get a finish. Goes and get the finish. I mean, he was piecing up Tai before that, but at the same time, he could have just stayed to the outside, pieced him up, which he kind of did with the kicks. But it's just an accumulation of damage that got him out of there. I mean, he was a minus 500 favorite in that one. So, I mean, he should win that fight. I don't think the guys, like the big knock on John Jones is that the level of competition or the people that he's won as of recently, the wins don't age very well. Like Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes all went to decision with them. Those wins don't age very well. You could say the same thing about Ciryl Gane. I mean, Derek Lewis win doesn't age well. Tuivasa doesn't really age well. Even Volkov lost to Tom Aspinall and then beat Rosenstrike, but that was Ciryl Gane's other wins. So, I mean, neither guy has really faced the best of competition as of late, or at least, I mean, Francis, the loss there. But for John Jones, the layoff, who knows what he's going to be like. But I would assume if he puts the weight on, he's still going to be relatively the same speed as Ciryl Gane. Like we all know Ciryl Gane to be this fast heavyweight, light on his feet. But John Jones was a natural 205er. And he most 205ers are going to be faster than, heavyweights. So if he moves up to heavyweight, I would assume he still carries a little bit of that speed coming up. So I think he can deal with the speed of Ciryl Gane, but he cannot get lackadaisical on the feet. He needs to be advancing and closing distance on him, which is weird to say because it's John Jones, because he always has the reach advantage. He always is great from the outside. But that's where Ciryl wants to be. And if he wants to win this fight, he needs to put Ciryl Gane in places he doesn't want to be. If you allow Ciryl to get, comfortable in there, then you're just playing into what he wants to do. And I think the way that John Jones wins this fight is that he finds the way that Ciryl Gane doesn't want to fight. So he needs to make it like a dirty match. He needs to be the better competitor. He doesn't need to be the better fighter. He needs to be the better competitor in this fight. And I think he will, because he showed in all of his fights. He knows how to win fights. Like at the end of the day, he won every fight. So he knows how to win fights. He knows he has all the skills to take it places where he wants to. And if he can get him up against the cage, use some of that strength, because I do think he'll be strong enough to deal with Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane's not the most physical guy. So I do think if he imposes his will, gets him up against the cage, gets the takedowns, uses his mentality and his IQ. I know it's not the easiest thing to like lean on. If you're going to pick a fighter, you'd be like, okay, I'm going to lean on this guy's mentality or this guy's IQ. But that's what I'm doing in this one. I just think he's the better competitor. I think he's got more to prove in this one. Coming back from 3 years off, as weird as it is to say, I think he has more to prove that he can do it up at heavyweight after the long layoff than it is for Ciryl Gane to come in here kind of as the replacement for Francis, because everybody knows they wanted it to be Francis versus John Jones, and Ciryl Gane just kind of steps in here to take it. So I think John Jones has more to prove, and I think he will. So that's my official pick. And not super confident in it because a lot of unknowns, but I think I'm going to side with the better competitor in this one.